Hey guys, welcome back. This is Bill. If you're new to the channel, I am a prepper and I'm an expat living in the Philippines. I wanted to talk about some things that I've been following the last 2, 3 months that has impacted me and has probably impacted just about everyone watching in today's video, right? I'm 57 years old. I've spent most of my career in the tech field. In the last 10 years living here in the Philippines, I've run my own um, technical information security business. Now, I've seen in the last year a 50% drop in the amount of gigs that I'm able to win and perform. Now, 60% drop is pretty dramatic, right? So I've been kind of sitting back here going, well, how can I increase this? And then I look at some factors going on. The tech industry in the last, let's say, 6 months, but really in the last 2 and 3 months, have laid off 100,000 people. Let's just throw that out there. Oracle, Amazon, Google, Intel, Meta, they've all dramatically cut a large portion of their tech force. Now, these are people that are used to making 100K a year or better. And a lot of these people are older than 50 years old, and they are not finding work, right? Very few are. I won't say nobody is, but no one's hiring, and no one's hiring someone over 50 and not at those salaries. So imagine if they're not ready. Imagine they're already living paycheck to paycheck for whatever reason, and they're covered in so much debt for whatever reason, car payments, mortgages, credit cards, student loans if they still have them. They are now not able to make those commitments. And unless they had a large reserve set aside, they are 100% in a world of hurt, and it's crashing at them real quick. They can't get a job to replace what they were doing. They just can't. It's ageism is a thing. Everybody wants to hire someone with 20 years experience, but they don't want to hire someone that actually is older that has that experience. And that's just a reality. If you're older than 50 and you get laid off, you have what 12 years minimum before you can even think about Social Security. You're going to have to downsize. You're going to have to get rid of that car payment and buy a cheap beater. You're going to have to start not spending money. No fast food, no going out, no alcohol, no tobacco. Everything that is not necessary to live, you need to get rid of. And this is going to cause the ripple effect, which it has caused, as people have been cutting back for the last few years. Retailers are not selling things, right? The only way retailers are able to stay afloat is they're laying off staff, they are raising prices on things, and they are shrinking the services or product that you're getting. So all of this comes into play. So you have someone that just got laid off. Now they can't afford the same food that they afforded last year because of the prices. So they're really going to get some sticker shock. Now, if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you know that I stock food. I create my own food. I stock everything, right? I'm a prepper. Medicines, foods, everything. So you can go check out some of those other videos. You see where my status and my preps are. I even stock things like pipe fittings and tools and things that I may need, and if I don't have money, I can't afford to buy. So I stock, and I've been prepping for a couple years. For these new folks that are just getting laid off and are buried in debt, it's probably too late. They probably can't prep now. They don't have the extra money to prep. They're actually in a very serious world of hurt. Now, if they did prep, then they might be able to survive 4, 5 months. But they're gonna have to change what they're doing. Like I said, they're gonna have to get rid of the big house. They're gonna have to move in with each other. Families should be living in a family home now, right? If your kids and your grandkids aren't eating, you know what? You're putting bunk beds in rooms, and you're putting a whole family in another room, and you're pooling your resources just to survive. Now, is it going to get worse? Yes, it's absolutely going to get worse than it is today. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. If you're hurting today, you're going to be super hurting, in 2026, without a doubt. So how has this affected me? Um, First of all, I have zero debt, and that's the best thing I ever did in my life is to pay off and get rid of all of my debts, right? So I'm extremely happy about that. Now, that's affected me because I wanted to put a third and fourth floor on this building. I wanted to put full solar, get a full setup and get completely free of the electric bills I have to pay. But in order to do that, I would have to take out a loan for 10 years against this property. Now, again, I'm 57. I got maybe 5 years I can apply for Social Security, which is something I will do. But I can't guarantee that I can make the monthly payment every single month right now. And I don't want to put my property at risk. So, we went down the route of looking at this, and I'm like, I don't want it. I'd rather not have this building completed right now than to put my property at risk or have any debt. A lot of people are going through the same thoughts right now. If you got a 10-year-old car and you're thinking, hey, I want to finally get a new car, don't. If your car's running, be happy, be glad. It's you might have to spend a little bit more in maintenance, but I guarantee you, an older car is going to be less insurance, and it's definitely going to, not having a car payment is definitely going to, help you in these times. I really do feel for a lot of people, and everything is boiling over. Now, if the economy in the job market wasn't as bad as it is, we got a lot of other stuff going on in the world, not just U.S. Immigration and immigration policies that the West have allowed to happen in the last decade. We're talking Germany, UK, Ireland, Japan, Canada, America. The very liberal policies on allowing asylum seekers, or whatever you want to call them, people from leaving, impoverished countries and trying to migrate into new countries, has failed. Immigration's a good thing, but the wide open door policy has failed all of these countries. You can look here, and there's not a single country that had a large influx of immigrants in the last decade that are not now having riots and they're having issues in the crime. These people, for the most part, and I'm going to generalize here, did not integrate well. And that is causing a lot of problems. A lot of regular folks in the UK, in Australia, in Germany, they don't get any benefits that the immigrants have been living on for 8, 9, 10 years. With housing discount and free medical, a lot of stuff that the regular citizens of these countries are just now feeling the pinch because their economy's gone bad. They're either looking for work or they can't afford a house. Look at the housing issues in the UK compared to Canada and compared to the US. It's a crisis. And people are getting fed up that the governments in these countries are allowing these immigrants to take all these resources without putting in the work. And this is scary, right? Because, it's a crazy world. I'm an immigrant, right? I immigrated to the Philippines, and I'm going through this process, and I'm doing it all legal. But I don't take a single handout, or I don't get a single benefit from the Philippine government other than the fact that living here is so much cheaper, which is, that's just the way the reality of it is. But I don't know what or how I would feel if I was in another country, Western country, let's just call it that, and I was paycheck to paycheck or about to be homeless, and everyone else is getting all these benefits, but not me. So yeah, I'm watching that real close. I'm watching the war situation, right? So with the U.S. president, shaking and rattling his sabers, things are getting crazy in regards to a potential World War III. I've already said we're in World War III. It's just the economic and military posturing right now before it actually kicks off in actual military actions around the world. Do I think this is the right time to be prepared? Yes, I do. Do I think you can start now, anything helps, right? Beans and rice. Let's get back to basics. But fortunately, I do have a lot of my prep set up. So, van life is a thing in the U.S. now. People older than 50 are downsizing and living in vans. It used to be a joke, but now it's just the way of life for so many people that have hit that wall. Let's talk about, I don't know. I got so much on my mind, but, there's going to be more lockdowns, whether it's military related because of stuff going on, or whether there's a new version of something that's going to get you sick. None of that stuff has gone away. The risk is still there. And I became this prepper guy because I went through the COVID lockdowns here that were brutal, right? And I wasn't ready. So that's where I learned. And I am so thankful that me and my wife, because my wife has supported me in this, started, spending the extra money we had and started preparing for anything that might come later in life. And I feel for people, I really do, that didn't prepare for this economic issue, let alone any potential war that's going to happen. But they didn't prepare. They're older than 50. They got laid off. They're in debt, and they are now contemplating what happened. They just can't figure it out. And I really do feel for these people in this situation. But I don't want to be in that situation, and I've been preparing for something just like this. I know I'm all over the place. I'm kind of doing a mind dump here, but let's talk about food prices and the cause for this. Beef price. Now, I did a whole thing on cost increasing a couple years ago. I did a whole video saying that beef, coffee, and a lot of these staples are just going to be too expensive, and they cannot continue. And now, 2 years later, cattle farmers in the U.S., it's not that they're not making money, because they can sell their herd, they can sell their stock, and make a lot of money on it because beef is expensive. The problem is that they can't restock with calves because the calves are too expensive. So a lot of farmers are just keeping their cows and not butchering them. And so the meat that is on the market is less. So, of course, demand and supply. We know how that works. Coffee is an insane amount. I'm so glad I prepped a couple 100,000, or not a couple hundred, but a couple thousand issues of coffee, freeze-dried coffee, because I need that. But yeah, food prices, people are not eating healthy anymore. I know a lot of people that eat once or twice a day only. And I look around here locally in this province of the Philippines, and I realize that this is nothing new. Yet, so on the same thought, I look around at a lot of people out here, and they're already cut out all the extra stuff. The family will live together with the sons and daughters and grandkids all in one place. They do already pool their resources. And this is not something you typically see in the Western countries, but you're seeing it now because there's just no choice. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos where people that have a mortgage are renting out their bedrooms to other people that can't afford to even get an apartment. So people, not even in the same family group, are pooling resources as best as they can to survive day to day. It's one thing when you're a college kid and you got roommates. It's totally different feeling when you're a grown adult and you're back to having roommates again, because that is the only way you can survive. It's a bubble that's going to pop, right? So you can't afford a house right now because they're ridiculously priced. But that's going to burst, right? When people start moving in together, putting more houses on the market, and just refusing to buy a new home, a McMansion or whatever, that's going to cause the housing prices to come down eventually. Let's look at what's going on in tourism, right? So you'll see a lot of headlines that, hey, tourism is down in the U.S. You know what? It's down everywhere in the world, with a few exceptions. Most people are not flying international on a tourist type vacation anymore. They cut that right out of their budget. They just said, look, you know, world's economy is tight. I can't take 5 kids, you know, a week in Las Vegas because I can't afford the airfare, which is ridiculous. The the charging of the hotel rooms and all the different things in Vegas, which means Vegas is a ghost town compared to what it normally is this time of year. And using that same example, hotels are laying off people. So it's making it worse. People are not spending, people are not going to these things. And the cycle is disheartening because the more people don't spend, the more things cost, right? It's kind of a weird thing. In a recession is, which I said last year, we're already in a recession globally, right? So now they're actually saying, 93% chance that we're heading into a recession. I think it's a 93% chance that the financial and government will just admit that there's a recession. And everything's flat, right? Growth is flat, sales are flat, job market's dead. Everything already indicates that we are in a recession. Look at the price of silver and gold right now, globally, and that'll tell you something about the big players. They know already that fiat economies are just going to get tanked in 2026, so they're preparing themselves. It's just amazing that 95% of the world's population cannot prepare and buy a lot of gold. And I did a whole video on that somewhere down in my catalog. I'll put a link maybe here. I didn't prep gold or silver, and I explained the whole reasoning there. Because I can't eat gold or silver, right? I can't use gold or silver in a power outage situation. So, but a lot of people have prepped gold and silver because there's some kind of belief that if you have gold, it maintains its value, which is true. It absolutely has. Even with inflation, the price of gold is still about where it was in the 1930s, 1940s, and it is a viable thing to hold. But I don't, right? And I don't know of anybody that's really buying gold and silver at all. They're just not doing it. They're buying food and necessities. I'm very fortunate that I had a pretty decent career and I was able to pay off all my debt. And I'm fortunate that I started prepping and preparing because the hard reality for me also is that, I'm getting older. I'm 57, like I mentioned, and I have no prospect to go out and get a job if I wanted one. So I knew already I had to make my own. I put in some businesses that generate good revenue, and I'm happy about that. There are things I'm doing that I don't really talk about that are covering myself in other regards to the risks I have, specifically being on a immigrant visa here in the Philippines, right? So, like I mentioned earlier, globally immigration is an issue. Laws will change, and that could impact me because everything I have except family members is here. So I'm working on resolving that issue. Have been for a couple of years. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing a mind dump today. Comment down below how you're doing. Are you struggling? Do you see ageism? Your thoughts on the last 10 years of Western immigration policies, things of that nature, and how has it affected you personally? I'd be curious to know. Also, I just wanted to say that my anxiety kicked up just a little bit, and it's not from my situation. It's just I'm looking at all these people that are struggling, and I know it's going to get worse. And I feel for these people. I feel for people in this situation. I really do. So, hey guys, that's it for today. Comment down below, hit that like button, do the things, and I appreciate it. I know I haven't been posting a lot of videos lately, and I'm happy that you're still watching all the way to the end of this video. Thank you very much. But I just haven't had a whole lot to say, and I didn't want to doom and gloom, never have. And all I can say to people is, even if you're doing okay now, Start downsizing, start saving, start paying off your debt, or you're going to have a world of hurt in less than another year. Mid 2026 is going to keep kicking everyone in the butt. So, all right, guys, stay safe and thank you.